In 1997, Bonn University professor of management Cynthia Fisher conducted a study called Emotions at Work, What Do People Feel and How Should We Measure It? According to Fisher's research, of the 5 most common negative emotions experienced in the workplace, 2 were directly related to anger. She labeled these frustration/irritation and aggravation/anger, all of which are closely related in most models of emotion classification. Everyone feels angry from time to time. It's a natural emotion, and it's always situational. Anger can rear its hot head for many reasons. When we feel undervalued or disrespected, when we feel threatened, or simply when someone voices a difference of opinion about something that seems to matter in the moment. But just because anger is natural doesn't make it healthy or helpful. Some plants, although 100% natural, are deadly poisonous. Anger can also be deadly, and controlling it is almost always not just important, it's critical. When we express our feelings of frustration, irritation, aggravation, or anger in unhealthy, destructive ways, everyone around us suffers. People feel like they're walking through a minefield just being around us. The slightest misstep can cause an explosion. In any place where the same people gather together on a regular basis, home, the workplace, etc., this not only causes conflict, but it also lowers morale, communication, and productivity, and just generally makes people hate the environment. Of course, anger isn't necessarily a bad emotion. It can be useful in the right circumstances. For example, anger can help us identify problems or things that are hurting us. Anger can motivate us to create change or achieve our goals and move on. Anger can even help us to stay safe and defend ourselves in dangerous situations by giving us a burst of energy as a part of a fight and flight system. The key is learning to check your anger. So the challenge is to be careful not to display what might be called unrighteous anger, because that always leads to harm and potentially irreparable damage. So, taking that age-old advice to take a deep breath and count to 10, here's a 10 count of check your anger nuggets to help you rewire your brain, improve the way you think, and improve your life. Number 1, follow James 1:19 and be slow to speak and slow to become angry, instead of jumping to conclusions or making hasty decisions that you might regret later. Number 2, think about the advice Paul gave to Timothy in chapter 4, verse 5 of his second letter. Keep your head in all situations. Number 3, acknowledge the truth of James 1:20, that man's anger does not bring about the righteous life that God or we desire. Number 4, remember Ephesians 4:26 and be careful not to let the sun go down while you're angry. In other words, get your emotions in check quickly, or else you could wind up harboring resentment in your heart, and that's a dangerous, deadly road to travel. Number 5, along those same lines, commit to the advice of Psalm 4, verse 4. Don't sin by letting anger control you. Think about it overnight and remain silent. If possible, challenge yourself to think about how you might be able to reframe the situation from a position of grace and compassion. Number 6, remind yourself of Romans 8:6, that the mindset of the Spirit is life and peace, not irritation, not aggravation, not frustration, not anger. Number 7, when the time comes to respond, ask yourself if there's a way to do so that's loving and helpful, not angry and hurtful. Number 8, be very careful with your words so that even when you are angry, you will say only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. That's what Ephesians 4:29 says. Number 9, if you have to respond to someone in a way that could feel to them like a rebuke, do so in the spirit of Galatians 6:1 and restore them gently so that they're reminded of how much you value them. Number 10, as 1 Thessalonians 5:17 says, pray constantly for yourself, for others involved, for the situation, for wisdom, and for the strength of character to give a helpful response. Anger will happen. You already know that for sure. Stuffing it is not the right way to think about anger, but neither is letting it fly just because that may feel like a more quote-unquote honest approach. Both those mindsets are harmful. A better way to think about it is to count to 10 and check it. In the end, even when it comes to such a raw emotion like anger, a better mind always leads to a better life.